What's up, guys? Hey ho! Got the nerd glasses on and everything here. I hope I gave everyone enough lead time. I know we usually have a pretty late crowd, and right now it is it's about 9:20 p.m. here on the East Coast of the USA. And as you can see, the big Folgertech FT-5 is on the esteemed spot here of what's the next step to be repaired and tweaked. There's a couple things I want to chat about with this printer. And the good news is that the Geeetech is off the desk. If you saw the last live stream, made a lot of progress on that, and quite frankly, I kept expecting that to be very, very short-lived, just due to the nature of that printer fighting us every step of the way. But so far, the firmware is holding out. It's working properly, and I'm sorry, I got a smudge on my glasses here, and it's driving me crazy because when I look in the studio lights, all I see is my thumbprint. The FT-5 trunks, yeah, the FT-5 is a big printer, and this one has been a bit of a disappointment from once I got it built. I tried to, this was one of those printers that as other people were building theirs, they were making suggestions and improvements. So I incorporated that as part of this build, hoping that once I had it done, it would have everything it needs. The problem has been the melamine is a very warpy material, and it has made it really, literally impossible to get that bed level. And of course, with a large bed like this, the last thing you want to deal with is, a problem with bed leveling. So I kept on hoping it was just me, but a lot of other people have had similar issues as well. So I've been wanting to replace this bed with an aluminum one, and 713 Maker offers some really wonderful aluminum parts to upgrade the FT-5 with. The problem is that he's a one-man shop, and he has very high demand, and he had a very long waiting list, and he has a couple different ways that he does his waiting list, I guess. And I've been waiting for the deluxe bundle, and well, apparently the way it's been working is he hasn't had all the pieces in stock for the bundle. He's had a couple pieces for, well, the bundle makes up the bed, the heated bed, what else is there in there? The gantry pieces, the bottom pieces that can be replaced. So he hasn't had all those pieces all together. So I was starting to get frustrated that, man, I'm never going to be getting any kind of email notification that he has everything because he just doesn't have it all done. And some wonderful builders made me aware that, hey, he had posted it and said that, hey, he has beds in stock and he has this in stock, but, not all the pieces I need. But that's fine. I'll go with the little ones and go get those. So behind me in the corner here, I do have the bed plate and the heated bed. And I was thinking, as I put out on a teaser yesterday, that I'm thinking that, all right, well, now would be a good time to dismantle this guy and get that new bed installed and, get this guy working properly. And then it kind of dawned on me that, well, wait a minute. The heated bed that is in there doesn't have the heated bed piece itself. It has a slot inside that acts as the bed surface so that I can take a Kivo silicone heat pad. I don't have that. So I'm not sure if I want to be waiting for parts when I have this thing all apart. And worst case, I don't want to take it all apart, put it back together, then realize that I really, needed to have some other pieces to really do it properly. So there may be a slight pause on this while I get the Kivo silicone heat pad that I need. This is a MOSFET, and this is what, because of the MKS board, that MKS board is pretty well loaded up. So if you add, providing the power to heat up the bed to that, some people have had problems with their boards, either, frying or just taking damage. So I have been using the MOSFET, but with the Kivo, because they draw such high voltage, the MOSFET is not going to work. I'm going to have to get like an SSR, I guess they call it, a solid state relay, and that's AC powered. So that is another piece of tech that I don't have on hand, and I don't have a lot of experience with. So like a lot of these projects, I'm going to have to kind of step back, learn from others, and then proceed with the upgrade. So that's the story as to why this is sitting here. I'm still going to crack open this box here because I'm really, really curious to see how awesome this shiny aluminum material looks like. Hello, Trolling for Dollars. And what I'm going to say, let's see, we got about 7 viewers already. This is cool. So let me start here by saying hello, welcome. My name is Paul. This is my channel where nerdy is cool. And if you haven't already done so, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please become one. You don't want to miss any of my cool videos. Speaking of videos, I'm actually working on 2. And so I'll probably have those out in a couple days. I got to do the editing process as well and some of the B-roll. But someone had just asked, I don't have dual end stops on this FT-5. As a matter of fact, the one thing that my FT-5 has, I have the spring loaded in case there's any kind of Z-wobble. It's supposed to prevent it. And I'm going to get rid of those. That's been nothing but a pain. The whole process of getting this whole, the lead screws and the chrome rods and stuff in has been a real hassle. There's also, if you have an astute eye, you probably can't see it from that angle, but these bottom pieces are going to have to come out because just over time and vibration, and this is the problem when you have a kit printer sometimes, is that with all the wiggling around, sometimes those T-nuts can pop loose. So I have about, I can see 2 or 3 where the screws have popped out, and when I move the printer, I can hear those T-nuts rattling back and forth in there. So it's going to be an opportunity to remove these and maybe add a little bit of Loctite, not the blue Loctite. I think blue is the one that doesn't stay forever, and red is the one that does. So kind of a rethink of how to do a few of these things. Loctite is my friend. What surprised me about Loctite is how watery it is. you got to be really careful with that stuff. I was just using it, straight out of the bottle and, putting the little dab on the screw, and it doesn't take a whole lot of doing a few of those screws where suddenly, you get fingertips covered in Loctite. So definitely vinyl gloves and Loctite that bolt so they stay in place. So now that I got a bunch of you on here, I wanted to do a little bit of a recap because the last time you guys were tuned in with me, we were going through the throes. I like that. That has a nice sound to it. Of getting the Geeetech A10 working. So I'm happy to report that it is still working. It's still booting up. I've been expecting it to blow up just because we've had so much trouble with that firmware. But honest to God, it's been doing a good job printing. And what I'll do here, let me go to the external camera here. And hello, there's me. And with any luck, I think the other night when we left, we had the Good Luck Kitty was printing or starting to print, but it was going to take quite a while to finish. I'm hoping it'll focus. Here we go. Got a couple spots here that are a little light, but I think more layers would have helped them out. But so there's one of the first prints that came off of after we changed all that firmware. As you can see, there's no Z bulge, and it's working quite well. So I went through and I made a few more adjustments to the Simplify 3D settings, and then we got this guy. And came out really good. It's been interesting. I posted on Geeetech, the support group on Facebook, and I've just been very honest with them. I've just said, well, look, I have had nothing but problems with this printer. I haven't had a tremendous amount of support from Geeetech, but here's the results I'm getting on my Geeetech A10 after doing a lot of work on this. So as you can see, I mean, this looks very, very good. And I was expecting trouble with overhangs because of the fur, the way it curls out, but and the bottom is very smooth. I'm still working on the Z offset. I have my Z offset. Well, let me say it in English. And here's another print here, and of course the Luby Dragon. But look how good those feet came out. A little bit of a stringy poo here, where even on my Ultimaker and a few other printers, it still has a little bit of trouble. But let me move this so you guys can get a better view. And I was really expecting to see a pattern in the wings here. I'm so used to like the TiVo Tornado having, the salmon skin effect. and not seeing that on this one. So that's pretty cool. So the printer that we all love to really hate, or I'll speak for myself, I was starting to just getting used to just hating the damn thing, has done a pretty good job here as of late with a couple of these printers. Now, with these prints rather. Of course, it'd be nice if I maybe mix it up here with some different colors, but let me get that in the light for you. So ta-da! So, finally having some good luck with the Geeetech A10. How long this ride is going to last, I don't know. It's just too bad that it's really taken that much work to get those kind of prints out of that printer. Honestly, had their quality assurance, done a test print on that printer, they would have quickly identified that, hey, there's an issue here. And but nope, they just threw it in the box, shipped it, and let the idiot that buys it deal with it. And that seems to be the approach. So let me get you back to me here. So yeah, and that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I've been off all this week, and what I've been doing is pretty much every morning just throwing another print at it. Actually, I think there's another one in the printer. There it is. And this was one of the first ones I did that required support. And actually, the support's still on there. It's the little owls here, and let's pop that off there. And I would call this an excellent print. I don't see it was interesting because I did there's another piece of support down here. I had done a print that had caused me a little bit of concern, and it was it was this one right here. And this one, if you look up and close, and if the camera's going to play, look at all the ridges there. So I had posted a photograph of this to the Geeetech and to the Folgertech, only because I know that a lot of the Folgertech guys are Simplify 3D folks as well too. Just say, hey, any thoughts on this? And I kind of knew the answer. I guess I was asking kind of a cheap question because I knew the problem. I knew the problem was temperature right away. I know that when I went through the profile, I accidentally left the temperature at 215 degrees, and for this PLA, that's pretty high. It should have been 200, but it was interesting that so many people came out and told me I had bad hardware. I got Z-wobble. I have this. It's about what you expect, from a Facebook group, and a lot of resident experts giving their opinion. And then once I lowered it down to, here's my guy here. And once I lowered it down to the proper temperature of 200 degrees, everything was back nice and normal. No troubles whatsoever. I'm still fine-tuning the Simplify 3D profile. I got that from Simplify 3D themselves. They had mentioned in their on their website, they have where you can type in the printer type, and they will tell you yes or no if they have a profile for that printer. And they had said that they did have a profile for the Geeetech A10. When you go into the Simplify 3D, it's nowhere to be found. So I emailed them, and courteously, just sent a little courtesy email saying, "Hey, I have a Geeetech A10. The website mentions you're supposed to have it, but I don't see it. How can you help me?" And they got right back to me within a few hours, and they emailed me with an attachment and said, "Well, here it is, and let us know how it works." So I did a few prints. I emailed them back with a couple of photos, and they said they have a couple ideas how to improve them. Shared that with me, and that's what I have for a Simplify 3D profile now. So not bad. So that's what this week has been up to. Like I said, with the Christmas break, I've just been kind of going at it. Every day has been a new effort as far as with the 3D printers. What are you guys up to? You guys are being really kind of quiet in the buffer. It kind of surprises me here. So let me clear the desk here a little bit of all these toys. Dun, dun, dun. The other thing I had done is I had spent some time running around to the local hardware stores, and there's not a whole lot to choose from here where I live. There's a up here is called Aubuchon, where they have the just like Lowe's and Home Depot have. They have those individual specialized screws, the drawers. You go to the hardware store, and if you need a specialized nut or screw, they wind up being like $1 each or whatever. I've been trying to find compression springs because I really wanted to make some headway on the Folgertech i3 Mega. I don't like how thin those little springs are, and I wanted to find something a little bit bigger. And I've used up everything I have in the multi-packs. And they didn't have anything. I mean, if I was looking for a spring to, hold down a screen door or something like that, they had it. But so I'm going to wind up having to order. I try really hard to buy local, and unfortunately, in this instance, it's not going to work that way. Someone had sent me a link in our last live stream for some, I think, 6mm or 7mm compression springs that should work just right. I could go to McMaster, Carr, or Granger. Oh, look at that. You guys are right on top of that. Yep. And Brian, I think this happened last time. Brian is the expert of the evening. All hail his presence, because you are right. Keith and I have been having an ongoing email discussion about upgrading the stepper drivers on a couple of these printers, the TiVo, the FT-5, the Mega. And while I was on Phyllis Struder, looking for LV8279 drivers, I came across, they're also a reseller for a lot of the E3D products. And so I want to pick up a Titan Aero, and I'm going somewhere with this actually. So what Brian had pointed out, and in the chat buffer here, and what I spotted is you can buy, in the Titan Aero, you can see up on the top there, you have that small compression spring, which is how you would do the tension on the filament. And I think they're like $1 each, and quite frankly, I'm just going to buy 20 of them. I'm sure there's, I don't know what they're called, but essentially, we're trying to find a good spring that fits around a 3mm screw, and I think that's going to be the way to go. So, and I'm getting to the point where, because I live so rural from where all the technology is in the world, I have to just break down and buy these things in batches. So yes, Brian, you hit it out of the park. That was I had the very same impression when I was thumbing through on my laptop last night, trying to find the right size spring, and I think an extrusion spring would be perfect. I have the springs from, which one is it? This is from the TiVo Tornado. No, I'm sorry, this is from the CR10. And let me just put this on camera here, because a lot of you guys already have these, but that's just too tall. So I need something about half that size, and I think the extrusion spring that the E3Ds have would be perfect. So nice to know that I am hanging out with super smart people like Brian and others, and I think that's going to be a great idea. The hard part is going to be waiting for them to arrive. So that's where I'm at with this. The other thing I've run into is that with this particular printer, putting the auto bed leveling probe is going to be a little bit tricky. And let me swap cameras here, and I will show you why. And I'm looking forward to your feedback on this, especially if any of you guys have an FT-5 as well. Let me switch cameras and move. Okay, and let me move my laptop so I can see what I'm doing here so I don't make you guys seasick. All right, so welcome to my FT-5, and I have the preliminary of a mount here of where an auto bed leveling device can go. The problem is that I need a longer screw for this piece here, which I need a 50mm long screw. It needs to be at least 50mm long in M3, and I can't find anything local. So another instance where I have to order. The problem is that with any kind of probe, if it's going to make collisions over here. So one thing I have to do is I have to remove this cable chain, and it's not going to be a whole lot of fun to do this, but what this will do is this is going to free up, as you can see how this hangs over, this is going to free up some space. So what I need to find some way to do is I'll have to undo this for a moment, just to unlatch it, get those cables underneath of there so I can have everything coming over the top. And the cable chain hasn't been my favorite thing since day one. And so I'm going to have to put some sort of wire wrap or something what do they call this? Wire wrap. So something like that should work just fine. And then tighten it up accordingly. I'm not going to use one of those braided looms because they just drive you crazy. And as you can see, this piece right here, I want to draw your attention to. See, these are the things that have come loose just from all the vibration. So up in here somewhere, I have 2 T-nuts that are bouncing around that have to be addressed. So, and as you can see, I've done a few modifications with this printer already. Obviously, having the Titan Aero on there. This is the ultra lightweight extruder mount that 713 Maker produces. These are his parts as well over here on the X gantry. Oh, and that's a piece of my Titan Aero. The setup that I'm using, make sure I have enough cord here. I have the blower fan on the back, so it's a 50-50, and there's a little duct here, and this guy goes down through here, and that's how we are cooling the print head. Or I'm sorry, that deflects downward, so we're cooling the print as we print. And then, of course, down here we have our MOSFET, which handles all our bed heating. So I wasn't sure about the proper way, if I should have the cables coming off the back or off the front. My thought was it's a lot easier to have it here. I was concerned about having it snag around the MOSFET or anything like that. And then, of course, we have the dual Z motors. I know there's some newer designs that uses just one and then a big long belt to keep them in sync. So far, I haven't had any troubles keeping them in sync, but it would simplify everything. And so there's a brief rundown. I also got rid of the, I'm using the 608 bearings, and it has a real coupler in there. And so I did this upgrade several months after I built the printer, because I was noticing that the setup that they have with the kit at the time, they were using some sort of idler, but I was noticing that I was seeing sawdust come out. So it was apparent to me early on that whatever was going on in there was eating into the melamine. So it was obviously inducing drag and not very good things anyway. So I've done this upgrade and it's worked out pretty well. So the printer, in a nutshell, has great potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when we replace this warpy bed and get a better bed heater on there. And looking forward to starting to get some good prints off this, because this was the dream. This was the first printer I bought that was large scale. I bought this kit before the CR10, hoping that this would. I like this design. I'm not crazy about the CR10 Geeetech TiVo. You know, the whole bed sliding back and forth. So I had a lot of high hopes for this printer, and I'm really hoping that with the upgrades, it'll finally deliver. Let me get myself moved over here again. Another upgrade that I did to this thing, sorry for this, people were talking about overheating drivers. So what I did is I put a great big monster case fan inside mine. So there is no way that board is going to overheat, because it literally has a 120 millimeter computer case fan blasting air right on it. As a matter of fact, when this thing's running, this outlet here, you can see a lot of airflow blasting out of it. So there is no overheating going on that board. But I would like to upgrade those drivers, so that'll be interesting. And here's the thing with melamine. See, over time, this stuff starts to chip, and so it's unfortunate that this is happening to it, but it just seems over time that's part of what happens. That's why I like aluminum. All right, and let's move you, and you're back over here. Can I slide the T-nut back in there? I wish I could. I really, really, really wish I could. I wish it was that easy. No, unfortunately, I think it's just a matter of getting in there, dismantling it, and getting those parts out. It would be nice if there was an easy way out. The other thing, too, is these pieces up over here that you're seeing, these are also made out of melamine, but I upgraded these all to aluminum. So I made sure that I had the the carpenter triangle, and made sure everything was really square when I did all this stuff. The FT-5 R2 uses the ACM, same thing that the printer we just put together is using. So it would be kind of fun if I had money to throw at it. It would be fun to put together the FT-5 R2 with that ACM material and see how that fares. So, but you know, do I really need printer number 8, 9, and 10? Sure, I do. Why not? So that's what I've been up to this week. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to get into. Let's take a look at this thing. Waited this long for it. Wow, that is some impressive strapping. I will give him high marks for how he packs everything up because this looks like it's quite the box. All right, let's put 1 down, 2 down. Okay, pretty sure it opens up on this side. So let's look at some pretty shiny aluminum pieces, shall we? All right, that looks good. Boy. Then the business end. Well, there's no doubt that everything is definitely sealed up quite well here. As far as what's next, I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep that Geeetech cranking away on some prints here. Not that I expect it to fail, but I'm just really hoping it's gonna deliver. Okay. I don't have a lot of space on the desk here between this and my cup of coffee, which is probably a good idea to move that. Yeah, we got a lot of bubbles. Wow. Well, I will give him credit. I mean, this is very, very well packed. And I like that the aluminum still has the protective material on it. All right, let's get you out. There we go. I'm sure the cats are off there then. Wow, I like that. That's pretty slick. Maybe I do want that razor blade one more time. I know everyone's been raving about his stuff, and it is definitely appears to be well worth the wait. Although, close to 2 years though, man. Okay, so what did I pay? So I paid for the bed platform, which was $75, and the FT-5 heated bed is $65. So 140 bucks of stuff sitting right here. And what's neat about this is he's machined away. So this is where the Kivo is going to rest. And I'm not going to remove that protective coating because it looks gorgeous. And I know some people don't like those tooling marks, but I think it's fantastic. And so that, of course, would be on the bottom, and on top is going to be our print surface. And boy, it's got some mass to it, that's for sure. That will be pretty. And then this is the piece that's going to replace our melamine headache. razor blade one more time. Yeah, that's a nice piece of work. This is big. So this is going to replace the melamine bed with a nice super flat one. Yeah, and he has right on the front there where it says 713 maker. So some nice upgrades for the FT-5. Opening some of the chrome rods, and then the. Now, one thing I'm noticing, he didn't include anything as far as instructions. I guess this is kind of, I'm hoping, pretty self-explanatory. But wow, that's a pretty good sized mount. I wonder what size this is. I am curious. So. So 8.2. So I'm just saying that's probably 1964. It's 5/16 is what it's telling me. I don't believe that. This looks more like 1/4 inch. Yeah. That's some pretty impressive material. So the biggest dilemma I'm facing right now is, do I want to take this apart and start putting these beautiful shiny pieces in? Or should I wait and do it right until I have everything? Because otherwise I'll just be disappointed. I don't know. Part of me thinks I could do the bed. The heated bed is just going to pretty much bolt on top anyway. The nice thing is I'll no longer have to have that piece of cork under the stock heated bed to help insulate and maintain heat. So it will be interesting. So yeah, that's this is the latest of goodies here for the FT-5. I've never worked with an SSR or any of that stuff, so it's going to be, I'll definitely have to do a little bit of reading and follow up to see what guys are recommending on the forum as well as the Facebook group. Wow, you guys are being like so totally quiet. It's supposed to be chat with Paul. Yep, that's a good point, David. Yep, that's another thing. And that's part of what's going through my mind because if I understand the gist of what other people have suggested, if I lay this thing on its back, loosen these clamps that are holding in the chrome rods, and then what else would I have to do? I'd probably have to undo the set screws on the Z motors. So I don't know. It's I'm curious of the right steps to do here to get this out because I'm sure there's an easy way to do this and a wrong. Because the gist is we're laying this on its back and we're pulling stuff out from the bottom so that we can get the old stuff out and put the new stuff in. The only question I have is in looking at this. Obviously, you know, do I have to remove the well? The motor is on the inside, so I don't have to worry about the motor being in the way. I'm just wondering if I loosen that set screw, the lead screw should be able to slide in and out, maybe? Yeah, I might have to take a look at the instructions on the assembly and figure out how to do that in reverse the best way. Because it would be really, really, really cool to put this nice, big, shiny piece in there. And then they get those, yeah, these things out. So I am definitely looking for advice if people has it to offer. Yeah. So the only thing I should have to do basically is just undo the set screw on the lead screw. Yeah. This way that because the lead screw should pass right through the pulley because it's only staying on the pulley based on the set screw being there. So yeah, I think in my head I'm making this to be a bit more of an operation than it really is. I think it's just a matter of getting it down on its back, and then once the build plate is out, I can remove these pieces and then incorporate them into this one, and then off we go. And these pieces here that go to the Z limit switch, I mean, that just slides off and on, so that's easy peasy. I might do that tomorrow then. Yeah, I'm just looking at your comments here. Yep, I think you're right. I really, really wish he had. See, and you can see in the bottom of this printer how dirty it is. I would like to replace that as well too, but that requires moving the electronics board, and you know, there's upgrades, and then there's holy hell, that's gonna suck to fix kind of thing. So, and honestly, I mean, it's a 3D printer. It's gonna have a lot of crap on the bottom anyway, but it's just that I wasn't expecting the melamine to age so poorly. So yeah, that might be a fun thing to do on a stream maybe tomorrow. Those straps off before the cats find them. So there. I don't have a whole lot more to add outside of that, gentlemen. I planned on coming online earlier, but I decided to go to the gym, and after the gym, I was like, am I going to have the energy to do this tonight or what? So I figured, well, let me jump online, say hello to my friends, and you know, maybe we'll do a little hour-long live stream and say hello to everybody and see what's going on. Hey, I got 5 thumbs up. That's awful. That's awesome, guys. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, Darren. I'm glad you tuned in. The bottom piece requires you to remove the electronics box, and then the electronic box is a whole other, I don't know. The one thing I'm a little worried about is the firmware. I'm using a pancake motor, so I went through a lot of effort to get the E-steps on that thing to work just right. So I need to make sure before I go too crazy and taking things apart. I know I have on the laptop itself, I have the original firmware that I modified and used, but I should probably sit in front of the dial here and crank through and jot down all the E-steps I have for X, Y, Z, and you know, especially the extruder, just so I have them, because I do want to take advantage of and use the auto bed level sensor that Tim makes. I think a 12 millimeter one is going to fit there, but I am still running the stock firmware that's sitting in that folder for the FT-5 R1. I have not made any changes to it outside of the troubles I went through dialing in the pancake motor, which is lighter than a stepper. For a while there, people were telling me, oh, it's going to skip steps or it's going to overheat, but so far that pancake has worked out really, really well. Of all the issues I've had with this printer, like I said, the biggest thing was the bed leveling, and it's one of those beds I just can't get friggin' level. If I do small prints in the middle and I level the printer for that, no problem. But if I try doing larger prints, I've got one side that's way off, and I've got 3 other sides that are perfect. So I'm really hoping with the new hardware, the nice super flat aluminum bed, plus adding ABL as a buffer, should help with that. And so I was really counting on this thing to generate a lot of nice BB-8 parts here for me, and that hasn't been the case. I got so fed up with this, that's when I bought the CR10, and that CR10 has 1,000 hours on it, and I was so happy with that, I bought a second one. So, hello, Todd. We're just doing the chit-chat thing. As a matter of fact, I try to remind myself here that people come and go from the chat, so I ought to probably, after half an hour here, kind of give a little refresher of what I started off the hour with. So, to those of you who are just dialing in and wondering what's up, I'm not technically working on anything right now. Oh, hello. Well, if you want to share those videos, or if you want to share your channel or whatever, by all means, let me know. Post it in there. Actually, I'll stand by here because YouTube likes to block any video links that are sent, so I can unblock them for you if you'd like. Nah, the Easy Able's not hard to work with at all. The hardest thing is the Z offset, and there's a few things. Having set up 2 of them now, and of course now this BL Touch, one of the first things I would recommend is, if you haven't wrapped your mind around how they work and how to dial them in, is that, especially with Tim's proximity ones, they really want to work with a bed that's heated up. So, for example, on my CR10S, whenever I'm going to do any printing on that printer, the first thing I do is I go over and I go to the bed temperature and I set it to 60 and I let it sit there for about 5 or 6 minutes. And then after that, I go through auto print, I send it as print, and the bed does a really good job. Once it's the temperature, then it can do its magic there, because it really needs to do it on top of the heated bed. Well, hello, Katie. I went to high school with Katie. I haven't seen Katie in years. Don't tell her. I had a huge crush on her when I was in high school. But no, this is the kind of stuff that's going to be fun to fix. The auto bed leveling makes a huge difference, and the backup, I would tell you, is well, yeah, you can use mirror. Yeah, it will work with mirror. The big thing is, it definitely, if you, I'm trying to get the words out here properly. You're welcome, Katie. It's amazing the courage you have 30 years later, you know. Does it work with a mirror bed? Yeah, because the biggest thing is with the whole configuration. Oh, did I get the link? Hang on. Yes, I got it, and let's show it. There it is. It should show up now. I've been reading here and trying to answer your question. It will work with mirror. I've been using the polypropylene. It's the, oh, I got one sitting around here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, the cat knocked it over. It's the ones that Tiny Machine sells. That's kind of the green. It looks like a GR10 kind of material. It works very, very well. I've had good luck with that. I didn't have any luck with PEI. PEI is supposed to be one of those materials that when the print cools, it kind of pops right off. Your mileage may vary. Some people will love it. Some people hate it. But then again, there's a lot of people that print on glass and they have no trouble whatsoever just using glue stick or hairspray. As a matter of fact, that's what I do on the Ultimaker. I have a grand old time going to Walgreens every now and then buying my extra hold Aquanet. And when you're a ball guy, these are the kind of fun things you can do. The young girl at the register is like, "Are you buying that for your wife?" Like, nope, it's from my printer. So it's fun to educate the general public that the extra hold Aquanet is actually polyvinyl alcohol / glue stick. So that's kind of fun. Oh, is it coming in good? Well, I got my nerdy glasses on and everything here this evening. I've kind of gotten to that age where if I try to read a drill bit or the fine print on something, the glasses have to come out. But no, the hardest thing with the auto bed leveling is and the BL touches and stuff like that is the Z offset. Basically, you're telling the printer what the difference is between what the probe's reading is and the actual distance, and that just takes a lot of practice. You know what's funny? I posted on Instagram for Where Nerdy is Cool. I posted a picture of the Geeetech A10 having that 3D touch. And I had a couple of people reach out to me and say, hey, you shouldn't be promoting that because that's a direct ripoff of the BL Touch. I didn't buy it. It was given to me. So I'm not giving them money, so I'm sorry. Yeah, the BL Touch, like I said, this imitation one here, what was neat about this printer was it's pre-wired to use it. So all I had to do was bolt it to the side of the printer, run those wires to the back of the print head, and turn on the software for it, and off it went. If I was going to do that to this printer or any of the other ones, I've got to run at least 2 meters of wire, and then I got to go through the firmware and figure out how to set that up. And then the other fun part is trying to figure out the offset of where it sits. So who knows? Yeah, the genuine BL Touch, when I was looking through Amazon last night, I want to say they're about 34, 35 bucks. Was that right? Is that the high side or the low side? Did I click on a good link or did I click on one that's going to kick my butt? Oh, I got my little beep reminder here. Okay, so here's what I got to do. For some of you, this will be a rerun, but, and granted, I'm a video amateur at this, so bear with me. So, it's I'm about 1 hour into this, or just past top of the hour. So first thing I want to say is hello, good evening. It is 10:07 on the East Coast, and my name is Paul, and this is my channel Where Nerdy is Cool. Welcome aboard. If you're wondering what the hell you stumbled into, well, this is Where Nerdy is Cool. This is where all these crazy projects of mine turn into a channel. 3D printing, as you can see, I got BB-8 head sitting over here. I got Stormtrooper parts over there. I got a Batman suit over there. I don't get out a lot. No. So anyway, this is my channel. And what I wanted to do, that's why I brought all this stuff over, is the last couple live streams that we've had, we were battling it out with the $200 Geeetech A10 printer that got sent to me a month ago. Unboxed it, plugged it in, tried to get it working, and it sucked. Completely sucked. And I reached out to the support, and they just basically said, bummer, dude. So I badgered them and kept after them, and they sent me some replacement parts. And many of you guys were part of those live streams, and you saw us trying to make this printer work. And I'm happy to announce that it is starting to work. And let me go to the other camera here. Hopefully it is good and clear. And here is some of the prints. This was one of the first ones that I did. And this came out quite good. And this is called the Good Luck Kitty, and it's hollow. And this is a little Japanese model. And you can see the bottom layer, it was okay. Needed some work. And there's a few spots across the top here that are a little thin. So I had to do some improving on that. So that was one of our first happy prints that we got. And then I decided to, okay, you know what? We got the damn thing working. Let's push it. Let's see if I can break it. So I started to give it some more complicated prints. And so we got, I don't know, some guy around here is fond of cats. So I thought a cat print would be appropriate. And as you can see from the close-up, you can barely see those lines. And this little guy, or gal, Can't tell, sorry. It came out pretty good. I've been really expecting the printer to go back to its old ways, you know, just sucking and not working, but it's done a pretty decent job. And yesterday, I gave it a 10-hour print, and it did the, this is called the Luby Dragon. And what's neat about this is you can see the details of the feet, and if the focus works, it's even more impressive. Honest, I wouldn't lie to you. Got the wings. And no, that's not a jet engine. I'm up here in Maine. It's about 20 degrees, so there goes the furnace. But no artifacts on the wings, so it did a pretty good job. Is the toes going to show up? Yeah. So I mean, it did a. You know, the minute I give this camera any kind of credit, it wigs out on me. And the other print it did last night is it did these guys. And let me get it from the camera. Maybe the camera is going to focus. Maybe. Oh, come on. See you, Katie. I hope I didn't peg your geek meter too bad. All right. I don't know why the camera is being wonky. Probably because I'm trying to... Hey, whoa, almost had it. There it is. So it did a really nice job with the feathers. And yeah, extrusion looks really good. The secret to this seemed to be getting the temperature or the filament just right. I had a couple people on Facebook when I had posted a couple of the early test prints. You know, they were trying to give some suggestions. You know, oh, it looks like you have Z-wobble still, or you have a problem with the printer, or you need to change your firmware. It's just the temperature. I was printing too hot, and once I lowered the temperature to 199, it started to work out quite well. Was the BB-8 frame in focus? Yeah, it figures. Yeah, that's and that's really why I need to get all these printers working. I really need to start cranking out those pieces. I have a tremendous amount of white filament back there, as you can see on the wall. About half of that is white. So I really want to get those things printed. And my thought was having a pile of printers to do it would be outstanding. So most of these printers are working. The next thing to do is to work on getting them mechanically calibrated. What we need to do is we need to make sure that I need to attach like a pin or something on top of a ruler here so that when I tell the print head to move 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter, that it's really moving that far. The goal, of course, being that if all these printers are printing a piece, we need to make sure that the pieces meet the dimensional accuracy that they're supposed to be printed in. Especially when we're dealing with a project that has literally 20 or 30 pieces that have to interlock together. So, oh, you got two A10 lemons. Hello, Jacob. So that's what's going on. So I've been, and you mentioned auto bed leveling. Currently the sensor is a little bit, the nozzle is still a little bit too close to the bed. I kind of like that. I would rather have the filament smushed in a little bit too much than the opposite. But the one thing I'm noticing is that as it goes around different parts of the bed, sometimes I get like a clicking sound from the extruder because it's trying to extrude filament, and of course it's getting back pressure because it's too close to the bed. So still trying to fine tune that. Yeah, Geeetech has been a little bit frustrating. You know, the picture I posted of the Dragon on their Facebook, you know, has about 58, you know, likes or something, which kind of surprises me. I haven't seen very many posts there get that many likes. Not to pat myself on the back, whatever. But I've been very honest because I've had people comment saying, hey, how'd you get those results? And I just said, well, hey, look, let me tell you. I've had to fight every step of the way to get this. And as many of you guys know who follow the stream on a regular basis, I have fun doing the construction and deconstruction on live streams. And many of you guys have been very instrumental into helping me out. There's a couple guys that have been following the stream that are very, very good with firmware. And if it weren't for those guys, I'm not sure I would have gotten this far. So it's definitely a fun learning process. Formbot T-Rex 3 rather. I don't know anything about those. That's interesting that you mentioned those. I heard a beep. There. Formbot T. Are those the ones that Tiny Machine sells? Am I thinking the right thing here? There are so many printers out there. See, here's the. Let me give you. Let me go into commentary / editorial mode. Here's a problem we all have. Okay, we all want to get the most bang for our buck. So we're looking at these cheap printers and we're hoping that they will do what they say they can do. Even though we know deep down from seeing other people that we know that there's no quality control. And for 99% of these machines, that by the time they wind up at their home, they're going to wind up being upgraded or changed out because, well, it's the extruder sucks, the hot end sucks, or the, whatever mounting setup they have for the filament sucks. So we're all kind of falling into that trap where we're all buying these things because they're super cheap, and we know for probably a couple $100 we can upgrade them and make them do what we want them to do. It's too bad that there aren't more manufacturers out there. Maybe it's because of cost, I don't know. But it's too bad that, the printers that we know that are really super solid, high-tech, work out of the box, it's too bad there aren't more of those out there at a lower cost. We know Raise 3D makes amazing printers. We know Ultimaker, Ultimaker 2 Plus back here. They make amazing printers, but again, they're in the $3,000 or $4,000 range. So we kind of put ourselves in this kind of pain. We buy these $400 machines, we hope for the best, and we need to stop acting surprised when the support sucks. And it winds up just being Facebook groups and channels like this, trying to help each other out. And that's my rant of the evening. $400 by $400 by $500. That's a big printer. I know the next big printer I want to get is the FT-6. And that thing is, it's not as tall as this, but it's about the size of this table in width. Well, the best thing I can tell you, Jacob, based on that comment is do your research. Definitely do your research. Now, here's the fact that you're looking on Tiny Machines for printers like this is good because he buys them obviously from China. He inspects them. He makes sure that there's no issues. And then he sends it to you. And then, of course, he's the warranty for it. So he's charging, you're paying more, but you're gaining that support and some sort of warranty, which you don't have if you buy it directly from TiVo, Geeetech, Creality, or what have you, or GearBest. And that's what I keep recommending to people. I have a lot of people that, hey, you got a bunch of 3D printers. What do you think of the TiVo Tornado? What do you think of the CR10S? What do you think of this and that and that? And I just ask them, are you trying to do serious printing? Are you working on a project? Or are you just going to be printing out, trinkets? I mean, what's your goal? What's your mission? So that's half the battle there. If someone's trying to run some sort of print shop or whatever, or they're trying to make high-end stuff for a customer, then you definitely want to get a better printer because these things are great for hobbyists, but dun, dun, dun. Hypercube's a good one. ZYL-Tech sells a Hypercube kit, and there's a lot of pieces. And come to think of it, Jacob, depending on the volume you're looking at, and if you're not scared of building, the Folgertech kits are a lot of fun. There's some pros and cons to building a kit. Of course, you're the warranty. But I can tell you that the FT-5 was a lot of fun to build. The i3 Mega was a lot of fun to build. And Chris Soros does a really good job with their documentation. All the complaints I had, I offered them to him as constructive criticism. He told me he appreciated it. There was a lot of good points, and there were some he disagreed with. And as a result, the newer documentation I've seen looks outstanding. So if you're not scared of building a kit, the Folgertech printers aren't bad. And as a matter of fact, if you look in the description here, if you do decide to go that way, if you use the coupon code where nerdy is cool, you can save a little bit of money. Now there was a link back here. I gotta. Oh, cats are really cool. Let's see. Indy, I'm scrolling back through here. It looks like you posted a picture here, and I missed it here. Oh, I remember the. Is that the car from the Bond film, or is that the one from a Cannonball Run with the underwater? Underwater car would be kind of cool. Wouldn't be very practical up here in Maine right now because you'd go down, but you wouldn't come back up. Frozen. The Spy Who Loved Me. Wow. Well, small world. I had an airplane kit, and it was a BD-5, and it was the jet that was in Octopussy. So I've also got a little bit of a love for the Bond tech. I sold that kit a while back, and another guy, I think it changed hand 2 or 3 times now, and I think the guy has a jet engine in it now, and he's actually got it flying. Breaks my heart because I had that thing for 3 years, and I couldn't afford to buy all the electronics and engine and stuff like that. But I did sit in that cockpit many an evening making airplane noises in there. SLA. Oh, you mean like a resin? Yeah, I have really wanted to. There's certain things that I don't like printing on FDM printers, and that's fan ducts, stuff for like part cooling fans and stuff like that. It's just hard to get all the proper curvature and the support and stuff like that. And really small, fine prints like that, the SLAs really knock out of the park. The only thing I wonder about is the smell of the resin, the cleanup. I mean, I've got pets, so I got to deal with pet hair. I would have to pretty much set aside a room just for that printer to operate, so I could have the isopropyl alcohol and the resins and the proper ventilation to do all that. But what's interesting is they're making some real progress on how fast those printers work. And I know they've made some interesting progress on whether they use laser, whether they use a DLP projector. Some are using LED. It's interesting. Yeah, I had one friend of mine. He bought did he buy a Moai or did he get a Form 2? I can't remember which. And he was so excited to have that. And his wife has mild asthma. And he cracked open that first bottle of resin, and it put her into a full-blown asthma attack. And so he couldn't have it in the house. And only the place you could have it would be in the garage, where not an ideal situation temperature-wise, to have that. It's got to be room temperature. So he wound up having to return it. Just the resin was too powerful. And the funny thing is, he'd asked other people. He said, "Hey, what's the resin like? Is it really powerful? Does it smell really bad?" And everyone's nose is a little bit different, I guess. And that's what he mentioned to me, because I mentioned to him I would love to have a Form 2 at the drop of a hat. But he said, well, just be aware, that's one of those things. Jacob, where are you? Oh, okay, West Coast. All right. Well, over here in Maine. Indiana, there you go. Well, you're probably the warmest among us. All right. Someone always does this. Which one of you guys gave me a thumbs down already? Come on. Show me some love. Give me a thumbs up over here. And if you're not a subscriber already, hit the button. Become a subscriber. You don't want to miss this fun. Yeah, we got all kinds of, we got a bunch of snow followed by a bunch of rain, and it's pretty slushy out there. Then it got cold, so the highway was a mess. So today, I've had the week off, so it's been a good day to sit back and just watch Netflix and figure out what I was going to do today. All right, we got 9 thumbs up, so I'm feeling pretty good about that much. North Dakota, yeah. So yeah, I imagine, yeah, that's well, technically, yeah, you are getting tropical air. Yeah, I spent some time in Oregon, Coos Bay, to be honest. Had a really good time there. I was there for about 2 weeks, and yeah, it's very damp. Well, here he is, Mr. Showing Up Late. Well, Caleb, I'm celebrating a couple of things this evening. I'm celebrating the fact that my cold is finally starting to let go, so I can breathe better, and I think my voice is somewhat back to its old self. I was sharing with these gentlemen, and tell you what, just for you, I'll give them the same rundown here. What did I run over? Oh well. So what I had done, Caleb, and I'm picking on you because you're funny, you can take it. But I know I was just watching the buffer here. I know we have some new people that jumped in. So what I'm going to show you guys here, and to those that have already seen this, I apologize for the rerun, but we spent a lot of time last week working on the Geeetech A10 and during the week, and my thought has been to run it like crazy to see if it breaks again, and it hasn't, because we had trouble firmware staying on the thing, but a couple days ago this was the print that I started with you guys on the live stream, and there's a few spots where it's a little thin on the top layers, but Kitty came up pretty good. Ultimaker is very well worth the price tag. Yeah, let me pause right there and let me. I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but I've had this Ultimaker. My first printer was an Ultimaker original in 2013. I built it as a kit. And their website, their support is fantastic. And then they came out with the Ultimaker 2. I couldn't afford that. The Ultimaker 2 that I bought from Fabricate. Fabricate, actually, pay attention to this real quick here. So Fabricate, spelled Fabrc and the number 8. They are the U.S. manufacturing plant for the Ultimaker. So if you buy an Ultimaker in the United States, Canada, Mexico, it's going to come from that plant in Tennessee. They get in or acquire old Ultimakers. So this Ultimaker 2 was previously owned. They went through, they replaced all the pulleys and belts, and they put a 1-year warranty on it. And I was able to get this Ultimaker for $1,200, whereas brand new it would have been $2,000. Then they came out with an upgrade kit when the Ultimaker 2 Plus became the new standard. So I installed that. So for a lot less money, I bought a used printer with a full warranty and their support and upgraded it to the latest standard. And this thing has been a tank. A couple of things of note is, of course, Ultimaker makes Cura. So you know that if you are an Ultimaker printer owner and if you use Cura and if you're using Ultimaker materials, you know that you're pretty much part of the family, okay? So I know that if I buy Ultimaker PLA or ABS or polycarbonate or any of their other materials, they have already gone through, done the research, and made profiles in Cura so that I'm all set to go. So it's a cool ecosystem to belong to. So I have people that say, Paul, I can't believe you're plugging a $2,500 printer when you can buy these things for $500. Yep, I understand, but you know what? We all know people that drive Audis, and we all know people that drive 12-year-old Subarus. They both go from point A to point B. It just depends on what level of luxury you want to get there. If you want a printer where all you have to do is slice the model and put the SD card in the printer and know that your print is going to work, Ultimaker is going to get you that level of complexity. The other thing is, there are other ones. Raise 3D makes some nice printers. Lulzbot makes some nice printers. So again, your mileage may vary, but I mean, it just depends on what are you willing to pay and how much printing do you want to do. Dun, dun, dun. The FT-5 is still on the stock power supply, yes. Let me get back on track. I was showing off to Caleb and to anyone else that was kind of a late joiner. So anyway, part of a rerun, but these are some of the prints that I've been doing on the Geeetech that we spent all that time upgrading. And I had to play with the auto bed leveling sensor a bit more. My Z offset was a little bit too close. But as you can see, our little cat friend here is outstanding. I gave it a tall print, thinking that maybe there might be some trouble with that lead screw, but I have no layer shifting. I don't have any artifacting on the wings. So far, and again, we did a lot of work to make that printer work. And then this is I like these feathers because that can be a little tough for some printers to get just right, but this guy came out great. Okay, so let me get back to the chat buffer real quick because I wanted to make sure everyone saw that we put a lot of time and effort in that Geeetech, and I wanted to let you guys see that we've actually gotten some results. Geeetech and A10 are the worst. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah, the Jenny printer is a China knockoff, and they're all over eBay. And there's a bunch of UM2 clones out there, but all I can tell you is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. True. Yep. I've what's to say is Clyde has one, and he had a lot of trouble with it because they have the. And here's the thing. I mean, I like genuine. I'm one of those guys where I won't buy an E3D clone. I buy the E3D. I would rather provide the manufacturer. They do all the research. I'd rather give them my money than the Chinese, and that's just me. So Z1 may disagree with me as to whether a Jenny is worth it versus an Ultimaker. I gotta tell you, I've had very good luck with the 5 years of Ultimakers. Yeah, I bought a USA i3 clone, several of them. There we go. Yeah, no, one of the cool things in my life has been I got invited by Ultimaker to New York City for the reveal for the Ultimaker 3. And, remember, all my experience 3D printing has been, oh, it's okay, I can take it. You can pick on me all you want. The i3 clone is open source anyway, so, what can you do? So I got no problem, with them making copies of open source all they want. But when Ultimaker invited me down to New York City, though, I'm used to talking to guys like you who I'm into building BB-8 pieces, R2-D2, stuff like that. And when I went down there, I was introduced to, well, first of all, I was introduced to a lot of CAD guys. So there were a lot of guys down there where these guys work at AutoCAD, Fusion 360, SolidWorks, and they make stuff. And then boom, they transmit it out onto their print farm, and they literally have a dozen Ultimaker 2s printing, whatever they make all day for prototypes. And you read about these, print farms and stuff like that, but you never really see them in person. It was amazing. Then I met a lot of these guys that do a lot of pre-manufacturing, I guess is what they call it. And those guys had rooms full of Ultimaker 2s where they were printing, designs for shoes and other stuff. I mean, it was just amazing. So on one hand, here I am, wondering why Ultimaker and Lulzbot and Raise don't lower their prices and try to compete with this market. And then I realized that they are completely fine with the Chinese taking over that cheap market because their bread and butter is with the small mini manufacturers, print farms, and businesses that are developing products. And wow, there's a lot of them. So you don't have to worry about the Raise 3Ds or Stratasys or the Ultimakers in the world going out of business anytime soon because, wow, the people that I met and the stuff that they were developing and the stuff they work on, holy crap, was I impressed. I was introduced to a whole different side of 3D printing that I had no idea about, and it was amazeballs. Yeah, well, I can tell you all about lemons. That Geeetech has been one. The TiVo Tornado, I've only gotten 2 prints out of before I had issues with that thing. Um, I'm like you guys. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I would love to have an Ultimaker 3 or an Ultimaker 5, but I mean, I don't have the budget for those things. But when I see the latest and greatest, the TiVo Tornado was the latest and greatest last spring. Everyone wanted to have one. It has an AC bed. That's the only difference between it and a CR10 is it has that faster bed because it's AC powered. So, what the hell? Yeah, I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to have one of those Prusa printers. I've always enjoyed whenever he posts videos and shows the latest and greatest. The spring steel, for removing the prints. What surprises me, to answer your question, Caleb, is I'm amazed that Prusa hasn't come out with a larger scale printer. He's still building the same 220 by 220 by, was it 260, I guess? Actually, I think it's the same as the Geeetech. Yes, I am looking to get an FT-6. Yeah, I had a conversation with John just before the holidays, and I said, "Hey, the table is clear. I'm ready for the next one." And he said right now he was playing catch up with the existing orders, and he would send me an invoice and let me know what my cost would be for one. So I'm not getting one for free, which is all right, but I think I'm getting a discount. I just don't know how generous it is. So he hasn't sent anything yet. So I don't want to badger, but I'm definitely going to let him know that, hey, I'm here. I'm ready. He's in New Hampshire. I'm in Maine. He's about a 5-hour drive, so it's not the kind of thing where I would want to drive down and pick it up and then bring it back the next day. But the FT-6 is interesting. The one thing I do like these style printers because I'm not crazy about the Y-axis moving back and forth, that whole jerk. It's always, you always wonder, especially when you're watching some of these prints, you wonder, if that back and forth jerking, is the acceleration too high? Is the jerk too high? Um, you know, but so far my prints have looked all right. But boy, when those printers are working, especially when you have multiples of them on the same table, there's a fair amount of vibration going on. Whereas these guys tend to be, moving along the rails, and especially like the Ultimaker, what a difference. So 16 viewers. Wow. Hello, guys. Okay, so I see I got 13 thumbs up on the YouTube video. So if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. Love to have you on board. I don't know if you guys caught it last time, but just busted past 2,000 subscribers. That's amazing. And January of this year, when I first started really cranking out some videos here and working on the channel and putting some real effort into it, I only had like 30 subscribers. So I was like, okay, if I can get 1,000 subscribers by summertime, that would be great. And we went past 1,000 in August. And then I was like, okay, tell you what, if I can get past 2,000, in a year, that would be fantastic. And geez, we busted 2,000, just a week and a half ago. So it's fun to see. And actually, the best part is meeting new people. So the live streams are proving to be really kind of a fun way. I've had a lot of fun learning from you guys. And so I'm just going to keep on doing these live streams off and on here and get people involved. Thank you, Nathan. Jay the Sniper, hello. You know what's interesting? There's a mod indie for the Y-axis where it's on Thingiverse where they're using a chrome rod. They're using an 8mm chrome rod for that, and it looks very promising. I've thought about doing that because, again, having the Ultimaker, and they're using chrome rods for X and Y, it just makes a huge difference in the noise. Yep. No, like I said, I just it's on some of my multi-day prints, especially when I'm printing like a BB-8 dome and I'm watching that thing go back and forth, and I'm worried about, especially when you get a bigger print that has some mass to it. My first thought is like, oh, that thing's sliding around back and forth. If the adhesion lets go, I'm going to lose all that print. So that's where the moving bed makes me a little bit nervous, especially a print that takes 5 days. So. It's interesting you mentioned the Quad Z because, of course, the stock one here has the dual Z. And I'm always worried about those guys going out of step or something like that. And I know that the FT-5 R2 has a different design to keep everything in sync. And then I know that 713 Maker has his own mod, also using a single belt to keep everything in sync. So it's I'm curious. There's a lot of ways I could go with this. Actually, let me show off something here. If you weren't on earlier when I popped this out of the box, this is the 713 Maker aluminum bed. It's got some mass to it, but this is going to be something I need to, I got to figure out how to get this existing bed out of here with the least amount of hassle. I know I can loosen the clamps here and get the chrome rods out, and I'm pretty sure the lead screws will pop right out once I get the, or thread out rather, once I remove the set screws from the pulleys. But what a thing of beauty this thing is. And the other part here is the heated bed. And of course, I don't have the Kivo heat mat right now, so I need that. Look at those tool marks. So the mat can fit right inside of this, where he's removed the material here. So that'll be nice. And then you wind up with this really nice heated bed here. And then on top of here is going to be where I put the polypropylene rather. I've had really good luck with that material, so I'll just clamp that on here. So definitely, and if Matt is still here, Matt won the award for having the best idea. I think for bed screws, I'm going to order a bunch of the extruder screws that are used in the Titan Aero. Those will be thick enough and have enough, flex to them where I think those would make really good bed springs. Make a subscriber ticker. Oh, I ought to. I do have it where if anyone becomes a subscriber, a little pop-up will happen here on Streamlabs OBS. Yeah, the FT-5 does have a little bit of wiggle to it, and that's one of the things that was discussed extensively on their forum, because you can see that thing bouncing around there as well. And there's a few other printers that have that same kind of design where you just have it hanging there by 2 chrome rods. That's right. That's right. We have the swimming corgi. Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I'm curious who else has an FT-5 here that's watching tonight, because one of the things I have to do is I'm using a MOSFET. Because when I was building mine, there were a lot of people that were saying, "Oh man, you got to watch out here because you'll burn up your board when you try to use the bed heater." And it's just because of either the way they were building it, the way they weren't threading in the wires right, or just luck of the draw. I guess the power and what's being used there is pretty close to the max. So I need to find out a way to. I need to either get an SSR or something in there. What I learned is the lead screws need to be uncoupled. Oh, uncoupled. Interesting. Yeah, mine's in there. Yeah, crap power supply. Yeah, I got the MOSFET now, but if if I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use the, where am I going with this? If I want to use the Kevo heater, that's a AC heater. So that's going to require some different power settings. Da-da-da. I wonder if I do have the ability. Yeah, it's funny, you had just mentioned that a second ago here. And da-da-da. No. You had mentioned a subscriber ticker, but I don't see that particular widget among my list. Nope. Okay, I'll go back. Mess with that another time. Oh, did you? Well, it's interesting. Let me. This is one of the things that drove me crazy about mine early on. Okay, let me get to the mouse here, and let's get the external camera working nicely here. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, external camera. Yep. All right. So here's the first thing that drove me crazy on mine. These guys started falling out just because of the vibration, and so part of my upgrade, I guess, I'm going to have to take this lower rail out, fish out those T-nuts, and I'm wondering if I should even bother. Should I just remove this, or should I mount it back in there? Does it stay, or does it go? And the other thing is this whole chain. I think that I need to unbolt this, remove the chain, get the wiring so the wiring is over the top of the rail. And then I also did these upgrades as well too. I changed the Y sliders. I was finding melamine dust on the bottom there so that the stock idlers, I guess, were digging into the melamine. So I did that upgrade to both of these guys here. So let me get this back here. There we go. You had every problem. Yeah, so maybe I missed it in the buffer here. So should I remove that chrome rod clamp? Just put it back up there? Should I remove it, or should I just fish out those T-nuts, put some Loctite on them, and then put it back up there? Remove or reattach? Should I stay or should I go? Exactly. Very good. You caught that. Threaded rod secured only at the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of people had trouble with binding, so that's why I was kind of wondering, you know, whether they should be secured or not. I got to scroll through the buffer again to find your videos on that. Well, Indy, if you want to go ahead and paste it again here, I'll only way I'll find it is after the video. I'll have to scroll back through the buffer here and pull it up again. You shouldn't have to loosen stuff that's not meant to be loose. Well, amen. I agree with you. Yeah. Nope. You're right. I just looked at that. Yeah. So you're interesting you say that because, yeah. So are you advocating removing that part completely? Is that what you're saying? Because right now, I mean, I have mine in there, obviously. So I'm just curious if you're advocating for the removal of the top Z thing there. Okay. Gotcha. Get rid of those top bearings. Okay. And that means I'll have more T-nuts banging around up there. Now, here's the worst thing I did to myself, okay? This is the worst thing you could do is add is those things right there. I play, come on, focus for the love of God. There it is. I made the mistake of installing those thinking that, you know, I didn't want to lose steps. So that is definitely coming out because that makes it very difficult to get the bed, you know, aligned and stuff. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that because I did notice that with the i3 Mega. You know, the lead screws, you know, are hanging from the top down, and there's nothing on the bottom guiding them. So, oh, were they posted? Hang on. YouTube blocks them by default. So hang on. So let's show these. And okay. I have it open in a new tab. Thank you very much. So this way, later I can catch that. All right. So that should be viewable for everybody. Well, in my defense, you are right. But it was one of those things. It was on the Folgertech website, and I remember asking the FT-5 group at the time when I received my kit, you know, asking, "Hey, is it worth doing this?" And a couple of the resident experts said, "Yeah, it's a great idea because you got dual Z's and you don't want to lose steps." Okay, so. Yeah, TrueTech. Yeah, actually, you nailed it. Well, that's the beauty of Facebook. You don't know who the resident expert is, and you know, and part of this, and that's why I missed the web forums. You know, and that's, you know, and by the way, you know, I have one if you're into the forum thing. I know Folgertech has one as well too. And where is mine? I had a shortcut here. Here it is. So let me just share that with you guys here. That right there is my 3D printing forum. It's been around for a couple of years. Interesting, fun story about that is I started that with Anders Olsen. He's the guy that developed and sells the Ruby nozzle. We were regulars on the Ultimaker forum, but the software they were using was terrible. I mean, it took forever to load. So he'd asked me, he said, "God, you ought to start a different forum, you know, and we could all chat over there." So They did. So we started that about 4 years ago, and we had a lot of hardcore Ultimaker, even some developer guys hanging out in there, passing along a lot of stuff that even to this day I don't understand what they were talking about. And then when Ultimaker changed their software to something newer, a lot of those guys have gone back over there. But for a while, that place was really hopping, and there's a lot of really interesting threads over there. So that's mine. I run it, and it was really, sometimes when you're surrounded by geniuses, it's just amazing to sit back and just watch them hash stuff out. And that's the way it was over there for a good year or two. It was like, holy crap. These guys were developing some pretty incredible ideas, Core XY, using lead screws instead of, linear bearing. Wow. I did not have the skill set or the physics knowledge to understand what they were talking about half the time. That's interesting. Well, it's hard to tell if they've helped or hurt me in this case. I know that during the install, when you're trying to move the bed up and down, because of the backlash, they would not move at all. So during the install, I always had to hand crank to do anything. So. Yeah, it's interesting to see the ideas back and forth on that one. Because one thing's for sure, like what I just showed you guys, is I don't know if anyone else here has a 713 maker aluminum bed and then the heated bed. Those have some pretty fair heft to them. So I didn't weigh them, but they're definitely up there. Yeah, 4 is a lot. Yeah, I was never crazy about. I mean, at least this one only has 4 bed screws for leveling the bed. The FTI3 Mega has 8. Yep, I have that too. I got the gantry kit and the ultra lightweight kit. But the other thing that like I said, the other part that I need help with is only because I've never dealt with one before. Would be the solid state relay. I need to know how to go from. I know the Kivo heater. It has to be 300 by 300. So I know what I have to order. So that's fine. And I know it comes with the wires, so that's good. What I don't know is, I know there's a lot of cheap SSRs out there, and I know Panasonic and other manufacturers make some really, killer ones. So that's what I need help with. I would want to make sure I buy the right one, and then how to wire it up properly. Well, in that case, then half the battle is done. I got the power leads already. All I gotta do is wire in the new stuff. Yeah, and that's the thing. The MKS boards have been, and that's the other thing I wanted to change too is the drivers. They go with the 2208s. Large nozzles, yeah. An Opto 22 SSR. Well, hello, Keith. Keith, I shot you an email a while back, and I figured you must be on vacation or traveling. I haven't heard a peep from you. Yeah, 2100s, yeah. No, Keith has been thinking about upgrading these drivers, and I know on Phyllis Struder, I can get the 2208s. The LVs are a little bit harder to find outside of eBay. No worries, Keith. Just giving you a hard time. I've had time off, so I was like, well, let me shoot him an email. because I definitely want to get back to the i3 Mega there, and I definitely want to get a Titan Arrow set up on that. Well, no, trolling for dollars, you nailed it. That's just it. Yeah, I don't want to use a cheap Chinese SSR. I don't want to explain to the fire department that, well, hey, I got to see, we got the swimming cord. When you subscribe, all the fun happens over here. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I want the cable chains gone. I need to free up some space on the left. And moving the cable chains will get rid of it. It will give me about 1/8 of an inch of space there for whatever probe. Now, what I'm debating now is on the FT-5, do I want to put a BL Touch or do I want to use my Easy ABL? I don't know. I had never done a BL Touch, and like I said, you know, Keith and Caleb and a bunch of other guys were here the other night when we got that one wired up with the A10, and the A10 printhead was already pre-configured for it, and I'll give it credit. That was pretty freaking slick how that all went in. Yeah, the silicone wire has treated me well. I mean, part of me doesn't want to get rid of the cable chain just for that reason, because it's, you know, it's probably prevented these wires from breaking. I mean, if we had a nickel for every time someone asked about Cat5 cable in their the Folgertech printer, you know, it's... Oh, really? So you were getting breaks even in the cable chain. I knock on wood, so far I've been all right. HDMI. Well, the other cable I have, and I've been debating wanting to use it or not, is the IGUS cable, the chain flex stuff. I bought that a while back and never wound up using it. The only thing I couldn't use on the IGUS would be the hot end, just because the wire's not thick enough, but everything else would have been fine. Good point. Ouch. Yeah, wire failures are no fun. Yeah, and you know what? I know this kit was one of the, it wasn't one of the early FT5 kits, so at least I know the, actually I was fascinated by it. I actually bought more of it. Yeah, this silicone wire, I mean, it's just, it just almost feels silky the way is, you know, how many strands are in there. And that's what I used on this printer quite a bit. And they certainly don't give this 14 gauge stuff away, but my only grudge is I wish they had, what do they call it, a zip wire, where they had the black and the wire, the black and red together, you know, as part of the molding. I miss that stuff. I wish I could buy them like that. I used to from, I think it was PowerWorks, because I used to have a rig runner set up in my R2D2, and they do a lot of ham radio stuff. Oh, really? Yeah. Even the fabric one, or whatever the... Oh, do I still have any kicking around here? Hey, Theodore, how you doing? Yeah, because I still got a bunch of this stuff, and is this the... You're saying that this doesn't like flexing over time? So far, I've had pretty decent luck with it. What are you doing? Meet Theodore, otherwise known as Fat Bastard. He's only a year old and he's a chunk. What's up, dude? Hey, there's a brand new box over there from 713 Maker if you want to play with that. What do you think of that? 4,000 hours. That's impressive. Well, every shop has to have a shop cat, so this is Theodore. Yeah, he just turned a year old, and he went from being a really puny kitten to a beast of a freaking cat. The only problem I have with this guy is I have a Ramba vacuum cleaner, and he thinks the Ramba is for him. So that thing starts up and tries to clean the floor every day, and he goes over and pounds the crap out of it. So the Ramba thinks the living room is 4 inches by 3 inches by 2 inches. It gives up and retreats back into a charger. So these two haven't made peace with the Ramba yet. All right, you. I'm gonna play with that. So, Z1, what did you wind up using for, well, I mean, what cable did you wind up using for the hot end heater cartridge? If you had so much trouble with the other ones. Yeah, because this is the IGA stuff that I bought. What I like about this stuff, I don't know if it's going to show up in the, is all the wires they cram in there. And what is this stuff? CF240. Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear in my question. Did you wind up using 14 gauge silicone wires separately for the heater cartridge, or did you use a larger gauge, or I'm sorry, not larger, but probably lower? Did you wind up using 13 or 12, or? I wonder how many wires this has in it. Oh, did you look it up already for me? Chain flex. CF240-03-18. So maybe 18 gauge wires. Yeah, HDMI is a good idea. Yeah, someone else had mentioned that earlier in the chat too. Where there's a will, there's a way. So part of me, hearing the ideas that you guys have shared, is itching to get this thing apart here and put that new bed in there. But the other part of me is saying, well, I don't have the Kevo heated bed pad. I don't have the SSR. And I don't have the BL Touch. So it'd be kind of incomplete to do it right now. Now, on those of you that have an FT-5, are any of you using a BL Touch, and did you use it on the left side or right side of the hot end? Yeah, I would like to have a dual material printer as well. I have a lot of PVA sitting over here that I would love to use for having supports that can melt away. Yeah. Always use an inductive probe. I find putting it in the front of the hot end is the least amount of stuff. Well, here's the thing. I had a really good experience with this BL Touch so far on the Geeetech, and on my other two printers that have ABLs, they're using the TH3D Easy ABL, the inductive probe. Now, TH3D makes a smaller probe now, and it's 12 millimeters, and so I was thinking about using that in the FT-5. It's just a matter of finding the sweet spot where to mount it and install it. That's the trick. Yeah, with this tight and narrow, that's a little tough to come by. Because with this one, it's definitely going to be, you know, definitely to the right of the print nozzle. So I guess it's going to be, yeah, and that's going to be another interesting thing here to see as far as how that's going to fit on here. Well, and that's the problem. So on the right side, you'll hit the cable chain, but the problem is that, well, let's look at this. Let's think about this real quick. So right here, so if we put a probe right about here, okay, this is as far as we can probe on the bed, which I suppose is okay. Whereas, you know, we can have it over here, you know, and it can probe all these points just fine. My first thought was having it on this side so that I can probe everything over here, but obviously that doesn't let it get to the edges over here. So I don't know. I'm so confused as to where I want to have that probe. I'm just so used to the probe being on the left side. And then, you know, this is not making contact. This is as far as the printer can go, as you can see right here. So the probe would only go there. So I think my gut of having the probe on the left side is still a good idea. because otherwise I got to move the cable chain, which yeah, I want to do, but part of me says leave well enough alone. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, that'd be great. So I was looking at the Geeetech a second ago here, and I was kind of fussing on the FT-5 about not having enough room, but I mean, that's as far as it goes here on the Geeetech. I mean, that's all the way over. So the fact that it's not getting to the very edge of the bed isn't that big a deal, as long as it can get the number of points it needs. So maybe I'm fussing over nothing. Just install the probe mount on the left side and be done with it. What's the optical ones that I keep on seeing out there now? They got the two little lights. Because I know we have the BL Touch, we have the inductive, like the TH3D ones. And then I saw what comes with the FT6 now. Is that piezo as well? Ultrasonic, okay. Inductive? Maybe you're right. Maybe that sounds about right, actually. Let me look at his website again. I'm looking at the page right now, trying to see. Okay, inductive auto level. So, not really saying what tech he's using, but okay. I found, like I said, I found with the Easy ABL, the biggest thing was you want to have the bed to temperature before you do any calibration, setup, whatever. Let that sucker go to 60 degrees Celsius, sit there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then do your, your Z offset and stuff like that. And I'm using, what do they call this material? The polypropylene, there it is. Yep. Yeah, I don't use ABS. I've only printed with ABS once, and man, the smell was awful. I was like, nope, we're done. All right, don't mind the background noise. Theodore is experimenting with bubble wrap for the first time. What do you think, Theo? Can you figure it out? Hey, I'm glad you tuned in, and I certainly hope you subscribe to my channel. I value your input. You've definitely brought a lot to the conversation today, Indy. Appreciate that. And I do have that I have FT-5 Quad Z Mod Part 1 loaded on my other computer over here. That's what some guys say. Once they get it dialed in to print with ABS, that it's hard to go back. I know the other materials, I do a lot with, what's the stuff I get? Engine and the other, PETG-like copolymers. Vac forming it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I haven't ordered my FT6 yet. I'm still waiting to hear back from John on what kind of price break he's going to give me, what kind of deal, because obviously I'm going to live stream that. There's been a couple of really good posts. Actually, today I saw it. Someone had, with their FT6 kit, they had upgraded the longer rails to, I guess, 2040. Okay, Indy, no problem. Just making sure you're in. Vac forming is really cool to watch. With all the stormtrooper stuff that I do in my suit, it's been a lot of fun to see these guys make their own helmets and stuff. Yeah, now I got to bug John. I haven't heard back yet, and frankly, it's not payday yet anyway, so I really can't, badger him too much. But it's a 5-hour drive down there, so if he said, hey, come and get it, I probably would. But I'm really excited on what to do here. I'm looking forward to some feedback from you guys. Like I said, if you don't have any ideas right now, like I said, come back to the video and comment. But I'm definitely looking for some, I want a quality solid state relay to put on this thing. And we'll definitely do some live streaming when it comes time to wiring that stuff up, because it's a little new to me here. Yeah, the vac form. Yeah, it's amazing, how much of the Star Wars universe is vac formed. The Boba Fett, the Darth Vaders. I mean, all that stuff. It's amazing. Wood type filament. The only one I've used is polywood, and that's how I did these guys. It's not real wood filament. It's imitation wood filament, but you wouldn't be able to tell. But boy, it's stringy stuff. All the wood filaments are really stringy to work with. But I've had a pretty good time with them. It's one of those things I always tell people, and manufacturers tell people, always do a bunch of test prints, because every printer is a little bit different, your printer may say 200 degrees Celsius, but it may measure off to 205 or whatever, and that seems to make a world of difference. No, the stock power supply is still in there. I should probably get a Meanwell or something, huh? Yeah, the Polywood is Polymaker. Is it Polymaker? What is this stuff? I get the box here. Yep, that's what it was. Da-da-da. Yeah, and that is, and I got that from printedsolid.com. The spool, I'll give them credit. It's definitely a small spool, and then of course I baggy all my filament after using it, but I've only got a little bit left. But what's interesting is they have this gauge on the side, so basically what you got left. So I thought that was pretty neat, saving a little headache. Curtis! Well, I'm glad you tuned in because I am sitting here with my FT-5 and I have the brand new 713 Maker aluminum bed and I have the heated bed, but I need to order the Kivo silicone heat mat. I need an SSR and I need a few other things I need to do before I really start working on this in earnest. I did have LED lighting in mine. Actually, I had, I think it came from IKEA, and I used it on my Ultimaker, and I used it here. But they had these little LED strips, and there were 4 pieces, and very thin wires. It plugs into an AC, and it has a little dial on it where you can adjust the colors of the LCD and the brightness. And it was neat because it fit right inside the 2020 rails, but they don't sell it anymore. But someone had asked me about the power supply, and I want to make sure I saw that answer. Yeah, I can't refresh filament on my oven. My oven is too warm. It would melt it. Z1 asked about the power supply, and I think I asked him if he recommended a Meanwell or something else, and I don't know if he responded yet. Yeah, you answered exactly as I expected. Yeah, a lot of people have said the same thing. Yeah, if it hasn't blown up yet, it will. TikTok, yeah. Yeah, I had to reach out to, I mean, I could get on Amazon, but I think Tim sells them on TH3D, and I wouldn't mind giving him the money if he has them in stock. I don't think he does. I know he sells a lot of them for a lot of guys that upgrade their TiVo Tornadoes, and I have a TiVo Tornado, so that's probably another one that needs a power supply. But the TiVo is 24 volts, and this thing is 12 volts, so I got to make sure I get the right one. I don't have this open up. I'm just trying to remember how big the power supply is. Actually, I have the Folgertech. Let me go to here. What power supply does that printer come with, I wonder? I'm trying to remember how many. That's R2. Is it 22 amp? Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, he has a upgrade kit. Does he include a power supply? No. That's not much of an upgrade path. So what is the power? So 480 watt. Well, let's go to TH3D. Let's look at his store real quick. And let's look at his power supplies. I mean, I know I can Amazon this, but let me just see what he's got. That's 24 volt. Would that be a suitable replacement right there at 350 watt? Oh, so it's 380 watt. Ah, so this is a step down. Wow. I guess we're going to have to Amazon that guy. Yeah, we need to be 12 volts. I know that much. All right. Let's all search together now. Meanwhile, yeah, I'm seeing 350s all over the place. $350 watt. Let's see. Okay. All right. So Curtis was saying, and Z1 follows up here that I'm going to be using that AC bed anyway. So 350 would get me by. Okay. All right. I can buy that from Tim the next couple days. I don't know if he's back up and online or not selling, but if not, I can get it from Amazon. Not that big a deal, but it's good to know that at least that would be a worthy upgrade. And boy, I'm not looking forward to opening up that electronics hatch. Well, that's the thing. It's a 12-volt Titan Aero up there with a pancake motor and everything. So if I go 24-volt, that's going to cause me a lot of grief. So the FT-5 will have to stay on 12-volt for now. Yeah, you have fans and heater. Yeah, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's at least on this printer. Like I said, everything else is 12 volts, so we'll keep her there for now. Although the only thing else I'm wondering, if I'm going to open up that electronics bag and replace that power supply, you know where I'm going. Should I replace those stepper drivers too? Maybe put the 2208s on the LV. Oh, I know the motors will hit at 24 volt. Yeah, because that's all controlled from the stepper drivers. But I'm not gonna, I have a working part cooling fan. It's a 5015 12-volt fan. I got a Titan Aero, and I don't want to have to replace all that stuff. It would be nice if it's quieter. It's just a matter of gonna have to do a lot of firmware tuning. So yeah, I have some shopping to do here to swap some stuff out. That's for sure. Yeah, it's not a bad idea either. Interesting. You guys come up with some good ideas. That's why I like doing this. Well, I'm out of coffee. Well, at least like I said, for now, the Geeetech A10 has been working. I've thrown a couple of big prints at it, and it's doing all right, so that's good. I'm still waiting on doing some more things to the last printer I built, the Folgertech i3 Mega. That's I've been impressed by that. That's come along really good. The only problem is that the bed leveling, 8 screws. And as you recall from the FT-5 kit, those little tiny springs are just a total drag to work with. So we're going to order some new springs. We're going to order a bunch of the same springs they use in the extruders, like in the Titan Aero. I'm going to order a bunch of those because they're the right size and they have some nice squish to them. And then I need to, I want to replace that MK8 print head because I don't have a part cooling fan. And I want to put a Titan Aero on that one, so that would be a 24-volt one, and put a part cooling solution on that. Well, that's the thing. On that printer, I would, like what I did with my CR10S, that does have solid bed. You know, that doesn't have any springs. It's all solid mounted, and it's using the Easy ABL, and that's worked out really, really well. I'd love to do the same thing for that Folgertech i3 Mega, but right now I don't have a very good design available to replace that print head and part cooling fan and Easy ABL, you know, mount all in one yet. So I'm going to work with Keith on that and find some way to get all those gadgets wrapped up into one, because I think that printer is going to do a really good job. That gantry moves really smoothly. I've been impressed by that. 20 amp SSR for the AC heated bed. Yeah, TH3D has a bunch of those too, so he'd definitely be a good one to go to for that, because he recommended me swapping out my SSR on my TiVo Tornado as well. So, and that's another project waiting for attention. All these printers needing all these upgrades, but I think they're gonna. I think once I get these printers upgraded to where I'm happy with them, because the next thing I got to do, actually, I might even do this tomorrow, is my CR10S printer has been a tank, but I'm having problems. A couple of the prints lately are showing under extrusion in parts of the print. Not everywhere, just part. And that has a micro Swiss nozzle, and that nozzle's been great. And in watching it print over the last couple of days, I'm seeing slippage on the extruder. So, I mean, I would love to do a Bondtech, but I bought the CME CNC extruder kit for 35 bucks, so I want to see how that does. That's supposed to be just a bolt-on replacement, and it's supposed to grip the filament tighter. Yeah, I don't know what you have for a print nozzle. I'm using, like I said, I got that Aero, and the one I have on there seems to work really good. BMG or Bondtech? Is BMG different than Bondtech? Because I've seen the okay, Bondtech BMG. Okay, I'm sorry. It's late. My head's fuzzy. Because I was looking at these, and I was real close on the purchase button, but I read and I watched a few videos. Let's see. Let me see where I found it. BMG clone. There were a couple guys on YouTube saying that they had put a Bondtech on their CR10 and they weren't really happy with it. And yeah, here it is, right here. Let me show you what I'm looking at. CR10S mount. Yeah, so here it is, and I mean they certainly, and yeah, CR10. Yeah. So it's 90 bucks. And but a couple of people that had said that they had them weren't happy with them. So I am curious. Oops, I'll eventually get the right camera here. So I'm curious how that works. I mean, I don't print flexible filaments. They're just not my thing. I mean, I'm printing props, so I don't need to print a lot of that stuff. But I'm really curious how that would work, because at this point, I'm just tired of, I don't have a lot of luck with the CR10 TiVo Tornado or even the Geeetech extruder types. And it works better than the Bowden setup? Okay. Oh, you went with a direct mount? Now, how would you direct mount that? That's interesting. So what I'm looking at here is a Bowden setup as I see it. Yeah, because it's got a Bowden tube going in the head. Okay, over here. So how do you get those guys to work as a direct drive? Or am I looking at the wrong product? Educate me on this. How do you make that a direct drive? Because right now what I have on there is a micro Swiss hot end. Interesting. I'm glad I asked about that because I'm not sure. Oh, did you paste the link? Hang on. Sometimes YouTube will block these, and here we go. Show it. And open tab. Oh, did you? Ah, nuts. Here we go. I got a couple links here. I'm just trying to make sure I got the right one here. Okay, so here's the kick. I don't have E3D hot ends on these things. Because what I have on there is the micro Swiss, because I've just had great luck with that all metal hot end. Serial bar printer. That comic witty relief has chimed in. I'm looking for what you pasted. Or the Thingiverse one. Here we go. And Thingiverse is still not loading anything here. Oof. All right. YouTube isn't, here we go. I think I got all the links you guys shared here unhidden. Okay, yeah, there's the one I was looking for. I think that was the same thing he showed me, or similar. All right, so how the devil does that work? Mr. Petzold and his directions leave a lot to desire. Maybe the video shows it. No, it's only a 29-second video. That's the only problem I have with Pet's Fang is trying to figure out how to put everything together, and of course his page is broken up into a gazillion things. Yeah, see, I'm not using an E3D. I got it, at least not a V6. I like the Titans. Yeah, because I really don't want to change the hot end out. I've been really happy with the micro Swiss. So does he have anywhere in this Thingiverse page, you know, the assembly, how it all goes together? Oh, really? Harley Davidson? Okay, you can get installation instructions at petsfang.com, and if we're looking. Let's see. He has so many things on his website, it's really hard to find the installation. So that's a Titan Direct installation? No, that's not the BMG. Oh, he has so much information here, but I'm not finding what I'm looking for. The bullseye. Well, no, I'm just trying to, you know, Keith had mentioned and someone else had mentioned the PetsFang BMG Direct, but I'm not seeing anywhere. It says go to the website for how the assembly goes, but when you go to the assembly videos, that's not on the list. And as a guy that used to do technical documentation for years, it drives me crazy when there's incomplete documentation. Yeah, well, there's no documentation on how to assemble the damn thing. I guess I'm going to stop my search right there. Well, maybe it'll turn up in the future. Or someone will create a video that tells us how to do it. Who knows? All right. Oh, there was a furnace again. It's chilly out here tonight. Well, boys and girls, I thank you guys for watching. I am going to get ready to call it a night. I thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Paul Chat on a Friday night. Perhaps tomorrow I'll kick on the live stream here. I'll get this off the desk. I'll get the CR10S moved over. And we'll install the CME CNC Easy Extruder. I'm curious. It's 35 bucks. It's a bolt-in replacement. I wonder if it's going to be any better than the stock extruder that's on the CR10S. If it is, awesome. If not, well, maybe it's time to move along to that BMG everyone's been talking about. Don't hurt my back. Yeah, it's a heavy beast of a printer, that's for sure. So if you guys are subscribers, you'll get a notification when I go live sometime tomorrow. So until then, thanks for watching and stay nerdy, guys.